Good evening, everyone. This is Bill Breeden. Welcome to Constellation Tour number 58. Tonight we're going to talk about the constellation Telescopium, or the telescope, located in the southern celestial hemisphere of the sky. Being so far south, we've moved our observing location to Miami, Florida. Telescopium is best viewed between July and September, so it is a summertime constellation. And so we're looking south, and we've got Stellarium set up for September the 1st, 2020 at about 8:48 p.m. in the evening. Now, Telescopium is a rather obscure constellation. From more northerly cities, Telescopium barely clears the southern horizon. And even from here in Miami, it doesn't rise very high, but we can see the whole thing. There isn't much there as far as bright stars, deep sky objects. There really isn't a whole lot there. That's what makes it such an obscure constellation. But what's interesting is I've had some of the most fun observing nights just picking a constellation that's somewhat neglected and popping open a star chart and looking for things to discover. It almost makes me feel like a real astronomer, that I'm discovering things. I mean, of course I'm not. I mean, they're on the star chart. But these obscure constellations can take you off the beaten path and can also challenge your observing skills. So let's find Telescopium. First of all, we are looking south, and you can see the teapot asterism here of Sagittarius. It's right here. So if you look at the spout right here, and you just follow these two stars straight down about two more distances, you come to this somewhat faint star and this even fainter star. These two stars here make up the telescope of Telescopium. And the constellation itself extends sort of to the left of those two stars. So this whole area of the sky where there isn't much is Telescopium. That's probably the easiest way to find it, is just to come off these two stars of Sagittarius. So let's put our constellation lines up. And you'll see that if you follow these two stars here in the spout of the teapot, about 1-2 more distances, you come to the telescope itself of Telescopium. Now, the constellation also includes this area here. Let's go ahead and look at the boundaries of it. And you can see that the telescope, the instrument itself, occupies just the upper right corner of the area of sky that the constellation occupies. And you can see there's not much there. I'm simulating the suburbs with moderate light pollution, and then its low altitude on the horizon doesn't help either. So in order to make this a more interesting lecture, let's go ahead and venture off to a dark site right away. And now let's look up a little bit higher in the sky here. You've got Sagittarius here, and tonight we also have Jupiter and Saturn in the sky, which is a nice little treat. So if I were planning on observing Telescopium and objects within, and Jupiter and Saturn were up, I'd probably spend the early part of the evening observing these two wonderful planets. Let's take a look at Jupiter. You can see Jupiter's moons here on this night are off to the right of the planet. We have Io, Europa, Callisto, and that's just a background star. So where's Ganymede? Is this it? Nope. Is this it? No, it's not. So Ganymede could very well be behind Jupiter. Amalthea and Thebe. So I would spend, if I was out on a night where Jupiter and Saturn were up and they were near the area that I was going to observe, I would spend some time observing them. You can see the great red spot right here. And then this planet right here is Saturn. Always a treat through a telescope. Since we're going to observe Telescopium, let's enjoy our telescope here and look at some nice planets. And there's Saturn and many of its moons. Always a treat through a telescope. We have many of Saturn's moons nearby. Here's Titan, Rhea, Enceladus, Janus, Mimas, Epimetheus, Pandora, Dione, Tethys. The Saturn system is amazing. Okay, so let's observe the constellation that we're going to concentrate on tonight. And so let's find it again. Here's the teapot of Sagittarius right here. And here's the spout. And if you take the distance between these two stars and travel about twice that distance again, you come to these two, I'm not going to say bright stars, but they're bright enough to see. That makes up the telescope of Telescopium. And the first one here is Alpha Telescopi, or Alpha Telescopi, I'm sure how you pronounce it. And this one down here is Zeta Telescopi. So I do have some double stars to observe while we're here. Let's start with Delta Telescopi. I believe you can see it naked eye. I think this is it right here. These two stars right here. There we go. That's Delta 1. So let's look through the finder. There we go. Now the telescope itself is almost small enough to fit in the finder. Look at this. You can fit Alpha Telescopi and Zeta Telescopi, which together, if you look at the constellation lines, actually make up the telescope itself, the instrument. So, and these two stars right here, that's Delta 1 and Delta 2 Telescopi. These are 5th magnitude stars, and Alpha Telescopi is a 3.5 magnitude, and Zeta is a 4.1 magnitude. So none of these stars are really bright, but Delta is a really nice double. So let's have a look at that through the eyepiece. Through a 24 millimeter panoptic, Delta 1 and Delta 2 with the other background stars make a really nice, pretty field of view. This constellation is viewable from St. Louis also, and I've managed to catch this double star with my telescope, even though it is real close to the horizon. This is a really pretty field of view. Let's put a little bit more power on it, 19 millimeter. Then try a 13 millimeter Nagler. And then finally a higher power 9 millimeter, which at that point you lose delta 2. I like the 24 millimeter view the best because you get more background stars. Okay, let's have a look at the mythical figures. And you can see here's Sagittarius, right here, the Archer, and here's the Teapot asterism. And these two stars here in the spout, or in the arrow, or the bow, I'm sorry. You follow them down 2 more lengths and you come to the instrument itself, the telescope. And you can see the instrument is depicted here just in the upper right corner of the constellation area here. So there's a lot of empty sky here that's really not accounted for, so it's all part of the constellation Telescopium. Okay, I have another interesting double star that's, I think, may actually be naked eye. You can see the telescope is right here, and you can see these 2 stars here. That's delta 1 and 2. And these 2 over here, I think that's another double that I had planned to visit. Let's do a go-to to it. It's SAO 229336. And a lot of telescopes have the SAO catalog in them. So if you can download the Astronomical League's double star list, it should give you the SAO numbers for double stars that don't have Bayer or Flamsteed identifications. So I was wrong. This one out here is something else. So here is SAO 229336. Let's have a look at that through the finder. Yeah, that's a nice one. That's sort of Albireo-like. You have a gold and a blue member, and they look like they're almost equal in brightness. 229336 is magnitude 5.5, and 229343 is magnitude 6.1. So 5.5, 6.1. They're both on the very, very edge of view as far as naked eye visibility. They're just on the border. But they would show up really good in binoculars or your finder scope. And then finally through your eyepiece, through a 24 millimeter panoptic, it's really a gorgeous pairing here. Okay, let's go back out to a naked eye view here. And let's go over how to find it one more time. Here's the teapot of Sagittarius. Take these 2 stars and come down 2 more lengths until you come to these 2 stars. And it might help if you can see this little double here next to it. That will confirm that you have found the telescope. You can also see this curve of stars here. I believe that's Corona Australis. Yeah, that's Corona Australis, so that's in the vicinity as well. So anyway, this concludes my tour tonight of Telescopium. Good night and good seeing.